ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our weekly session on Bhagavad Gita. So far we have covered some core lessons from Bhagavad Gita in our last two sessions. These sessions told us about the nature of our soul, nature of our body, importance of karma, and how to meditate and exercise control over sense organs and mind. So these were the important lessons which were stated up to chapter 6. We also saw that Bhagavad Gita is not a religious text in the sense it is usually understood. It is a scientific text which is applicable to every human being, and he can apply this in his day-to-day life to improve his living conditions. Now, in the chapter 7 and 8 and 9, Lord Krishna talks about the universe, about the Vishwa. So far, he was talking about the individual. But now he's talking about what is this universe, how it came into being. So in chapter 7, he starts saying that very few people are able to reach me because they remain completely entangled in the world of Maya. And therefore, they are not able to reach me, without disentangling themselves from that, concept of Maya. Now he explains what is this world, how this world comes into being. This is a very profound science which is available nowhere else except in Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads. Now, let's take a few verses here which are absolutely profound. We will not take many, but a few of them. Now, verse number 4 and 5 explains what is this universe. Bhumir apo anro vayu kha manobuddhi revcha ahankar me binna prakartir rasta. Now he tells that his prakriti, the supreme's prakriti, the supreme's power, is divided into two parts. One is called Aparashakti, another is called Parashakti. Now, Aparashakti is actually has given birth to 8 elements. That is the 5 primordial elements. That is Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal or Prithvi. And then Man, Buddhi and Ahankar. These are the 8 elements that have their origin in Aparashakti. So we can see our body-mind complex is coming from Aparashakti because it is made of these 5 plus 3, 8 elements. 5 gross elements of nature and 3 elements of Man, Buddhi and Ahankar. So these 8 make our body-mind complex. And then he says in next verse that Jeev Bhutanam Mahabhayo Yaded Dharyate Jagat, that the second power is Parashakti, that is the power of Chaitanya, power of consciousness, through which he holds the entire universe. So these are the two powers which have their origin in the Supreme Being, and these two powers make this universe and run this universe, manage this universe. So this is what he explains here. And then he continues to go into greater detail. But one verse which we should understand here is verse number 7. Matta param tap nanyat kinchit dasti dhananjay Mai Sarvadim Protam Sutre Mani Gana Eve. That this whole universe is woven into me in the same way as the सूत्रियों की मणि सूत्र में जुड़ी हुई होती हैं. That on a thread there are certain knots. Those knots are woven into the thread. In the same way, the whole universe is woven into me. He had also said at some stage that this whole universe is like ice in which I am water. Ice is nothing but water, and therefore the whole universe is nothing but the Supreme. Now we can understand it in a different way, like we exist in Akash. Without Akash, none of can exist. Similarly, Akash exists in us. The Akash is there in our body. Akash is there in our residence where we live. So it's called Oth-Proth. हम आकाश में ओत-प्रोत हैं. Similarly, the Supreme is Oth-Proth in this entire universe. The whole universe is made of Him. There's nothing beyond Him. There's nothing which is not controlled by the Supreme. So this is what Lord Krishna has said here. And we will take one more verse here, verse number 13. Then he says, if the whole world is, completely woven into the Supreme, why don't we realize it? Why don't we understand it? The reason for this, he said, is that the whole world is rolling or remains entangled all the time in the three, what you call attributes of nature, that is Sat, Raj, and Tam. These three gunas, they keep us completely deluded, and therefore we do not understand the world properly. We do not understand the Supreme, which is woven into every thread, every particle of this universe, because we are constantly entangled in the Supreme. And that is why in the beginning he said that out of crores, very few people are able to understand him, because they all remain entangled in these three gunas, or this is also called the world of Maya. And once we transcend these three gunas, then we can easily understand how the Supreme is woven into each of the existence which we see in this universe. Like Akash is woven into us and we are woven into Akash. The Akash, without Akash, we cannot exist, nor can Akash, uh, exist in tangible form without us. So we are all interlinked. So this is one of the greatest science. No science in the world has been able to explain this. And then Lord Krishna continues further down on the same route. He keeps explaining this universe. What is this universe? How this universe is managed and run. Now he says that those people who leave their body at the end of their life, remembering me, at the last moment, if they remember me, then they will achieve me, they will reach me, they will become one with me. And whatever we remember at the last moment in our life, we ultimately convert into that. If somebody wants to earn a lot of money and thinks about money in the last moment, obviously he will be born in the next birth in such a way that he will be greedy for money. So this is what he explains in verse number 6 of chapter 8, how this whole process of life and death comes into being and how we take rebirth because of the thought process in which we live in the last moments of our life. Now he also explains that why we have to come back into this world again and again. What is the root cause? In this process, he explains the concept of yugaj, the concept of time. He says, it is more referred to verse number 16 and 17. आब्रह भूलाकम लोका पुनरार वर्जितो अर्जुन मामु पेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते. That those people who live in the Brahma, not Brahma, or the world created by Brahma, they are subject to rotation, they keep coming and going. But those who have gone beyond time, beyond Brahma, and reached the Brahma, they don't have to come back. So Brahma is the creator, and he actually manifests the world. At the end of Yuga, the whole world actually disappears into Brahma, विलीन हो जाता है, and then it appears back in the beginning of the day of Brahma. Now he has explained what is the day of Brahma. Basically, a day of Brahma is 4.32 billion years each a day of Brahma. This has been explained in detail in Bhagavad Puran, but here also he has given some details about the length of Yug. And similarly, the night of Brahma is also 4.32 billion years. And in fact, this figure is now even accepted by the science, which believe that Earth is approximately 4 billion years old, because the whole manifestation appears after 4.32 billion years and then dissolves into the Brahma after the day of Brahma is over, and then reappears in the morning of Brahma, and this cycle of time continues. So if we remain in this cycle of time, then we will continue to come into this world. We will not be Kalatit. If we go to if we transcend the time and we become Kalatit, then we will not come back into this universe again. Now, he has very clearly said here in verse number 18, संपूर्ण चराचर भूत गण ब्रह्मा के दिन के प्रवेश काल में अव्यक्त से अर्थात ब्रह्मा के सूक्ष्म शरीर से उत्पन्न होते हैं और ब्रह्मा की रात्रि के प्रवेश काल में उस अव्यक्त नामक ब्रह्मा के सूक्ष्म शरीर में लीन हो जाते हैं. So this is the cycle of the whole universe, how it operates. Then let us take those people who become one with the Supreme, who unite and you become yogi. What is their path? How they transcend this universe? So here he talks about two paths, Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. These are also called actually Surya, the path of sun and the path of moon. Or they are also called Sukla Paksh and Krishna Paksh. So he has explained that those people who transcend this universe and become one with the Supreme, they take the Uttarayan route. In that route, you have light all over. There is Jyoti, there is Agni, there is Sukla Paksh, and there are all the wisdom which is available in this universe is available on this path. But those people who go through the Dakshinayan route, they go through what? Dhum Abhimani, that is, you covered with fog. It's not very clear. Ratri, that you have darkness there. Krishna Paksh, that again you have darkness. So all these things are, faced by those who are going to come back in this universe. So these are the two different paths for those who transcend the universe and those who take a rebirth in this universe. So this is what Lord Krishna has explained how this universe operates, how the karma play a very important role, how the time cycle makes it appear and reappear, manifest and dissolve into the Brahma. So this is what he explains. And then he actually goes further into this verse number, chapter 9, where he explains that he gives lot of examples in this, that he is the sun, he is the moon, he is the wind which blows, he is sustaining the earth. So he gives all these examples to clarify that all the forces in this universe are actually sustained by the Supreme. In fact, in Kenopanishad, there is a story of Yaksh. In that story, the Yaksh appeared in the sky and Indra saw that something strange is there. So he asked Agni Dev to go and look for the Yaksh. Agni Dev went there and Yaksh asked him, "What is your power?" He says, "My power is fire. I can burn anything whichever exists in this world." So Yaksh said, "Okay, I put this small little, uh, you know, branch here, dry branch. And can you burn it?" The Agnidev tried its best. It did not burn. He failed. And then he came back to Indra and said, though there's something unusual about Yaks because I could not manifest my power of fire. Then he sent Vayu Devta. And Vayu Devta was also made the Yaks. And Yaks asked him, "What is your power? What is your prowess?" He said, "My power is that I can blow anything whichever comes." So he again put that small dry branch in front of the Agni Devta, Vayu Devta, and asked him to blow it up. Vayu Devta applied all his force, but he could not blow that. And then it became very apparent that all the power in this universe actually originate from the Supreme. The Yaks was the Supreme. And that is how the whole universe is actually run by the Supreme. Now, in this again, he emphasizes, this is verse number 8, अपनी प्रकृति को अंगीकार करके स्वभाव के बल से परतंत्र हुए इस संपूर्ण भूत समुदाय को बारंबार मैं उनके कर्मों के अनुसार रचता हूं. This is very important. He doesn't exercise his discretion. He gives rebirth to people based on their karma. This is very clear here. कर्मों के अनुसार रचता हूं. And he is not subjected to any, karm phal, because he is absolutely neutral in the process. He is udasin, absolutely. So in these three profound chapters, Lord Krishna explains the science of the entire universe, how the universe appears, how it disappears, what it is made of, how the consciousness and para and apara shakti, that is, apara is physical, natural force, how they combine together to run this universe. And then how we remain entangled in the world of Maya because of the three gunas, the Satraj and Tam, which are embedded in the nature. And then he explains the concept of time, the concept how we take rebirth, the karma principle, how it plays a role, and then At the end, he also explains some of his powers in manifestation, that his power in the sun, in the moon, in the earth, in the water, in the fire, and of course in the consciousness. So all that has been explained in these three chapters, and these three chapters are, I would say, transcend beyond any scientific discovery that may be available till date. That is why I call this Bhagavad Gita an unintelligible and insensible text, because unintelligible, because it is transcending beyond our intelligence. It goes beyond the intelligence. You cannot understand with our normal intelligence. Insensible means you cannot grasp it through our sense organs, because the so-called non-manifest power of the universe or the supreme is beyond our body, mind, intellect, and the powers of sense organs. And that is why this chapter actually is very useful to understand this universe. And he very clearly mentions here that the whole universe is woven into me as a thread is woven into the knots of the thread. Similarly, the Supreme is woven into this entire universe. Every single particle is made of the Supreme, and it's governed by the Supreme, like Akash. It's inside our body, it is outside our body. We cannot exist without Akash. Similarly, the universe cannot exist without the Supreme. He is Para and Apara Shakti that governs this universe, and the Trigunatmak power of nature keeps us entangled into this world of Maya. So, this is what Lord Krishna says. And at the end, he says that, in fact, verse number 17, he says very clearly, इस संपूर्ण जगत का धाता अर्थात धारण करने वाला एवं कर्मों के फल को देने वाला पिता माता पितामह जानने योग्य पवित्र ओंकार ऋग्वेद सामवेद और यजुर्वेद भी मैं ही हूं पितामह से जगतो पिता माता पितामह वेदम पवित्र ओंकार ऋग साम यजुर्वेद च. So this is what he explains, that everything in this universe is actually by virtue of his force, and his force actually regulates this universe, brings it into manifestation, and dissolve it back at the end of the what you call yuga, that is 4.32 billion years, the day of Brahma. So this is what he says, that he is the cause of causes, cause of all causes in this universe. There is nothing beyond that. And he also explains the cycle of this universe, that how the cycle, the sun runs, मैं ही सूर्य रूप से तपता हूं, वर्षा का आकर्षण करता हूं, उसे बरसाता हूं. हे अर्जुन, मैं ही अमृत और मृत्यु हूं, सत और असत सब मैं ही हूं. तो ये दिस इज व्हाट ही explains, and those people who are dedicated or devoted to the Supreme all the time, I think they understand this universe slowly, 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 slowly. Now, this is what we should emphasize here, that what is this universe, how it is manifested, how it is regulated, how do we take birth again, what is the time and time scale and the cycle of time, what is samsar chakra. All these things are explained in these three chapters in great detail. And if those people who surrender themselves to the Supreme, then those people are transcending this world, and then they can attain the supreme. Now, in this context, I was actually meditating for the last 2, 3 days myself, and I have come to some of the my own conclusions. What is this world? How this world operates? So, I will like to point out these 7 truths which I have been meditating on in the last 1 week of my illness. The first truth is चैतन्य एवं प्रकृति के संयोग से जीव की उत्पत्ति होती है. चैतन्य एवं प्रकृति, दैट इज परा एंड अपरा शक्ति, उसके संयोग से जीव की उत्पत्ति होती है. दूसरा सत्य, जीव के शरीर का रूप प्रकृति पर निर्भर करता है. वो खैचर बनेगा, जलचर बनेगा, भूचर बनेगा, और यह रूप उसके कर्मों पर आधारित है. तो जीव के शरीर का रूप, शरीर कौन सा धारण करते हैं? मनुष्य का लेगा, बैल का लेगा, भैंस का लेगा, एक पक्षी का लेगा. किस रूप का शरीर उसको मिलेगा? एक फिश का लेगा. वो जो शरीर है वो प्रकृति पर निर्भर करता है, लेकिन उसका रूट कारण मनुष्य के कर्म है. तीसरा सत्य, भ्रूण से लेकर आखिरी क्षण तक, मृत्यु तक, चैतन्य एवं शरीर साथ साथ चलते हैं. वो साथ साथ नहीं चलेंगे तो जीव इस संसार में अस्तित्व में नहीं रह सकता. चौथा सत्य, इसलिए शरीर में जो भी परिवर्तन एवं सुख दुख आते हैं, चैतन्य उनको भोगने के लिए बाध्य है. Our consciousness is totally intertwined with our body, and therefore whatever pain and pleasure we feel in our body and senses, they impact our chaitanya. The chaitanya is impacted, and that is why मुंडक उपनिषद says that शरीर के अंदर 2 वृक्ष बैठते हैं. एक वृक्ष, 2 पक्षी बैठे हैं. एक पक्षी आत्मा है जो भोगता है, और दूसरा पक्षी परमात्मा है जो उसको सिर्फ देखता रहता है, ऑब्जर्व करता रहता है, दृष्टा है. तो हमारा जो शरीर की जो आत्मा है वो उन दुखों और सुखों को, all those pains and pleasure which our body experiences, have to live with that, and that is why we experience pain and pleasure through our consciousness, but they originate in our body, and they originate because our body's relationship with the rest of the bodies in the nature, rest of the manifestation in the nature, that impacts our bodily pain and pleasure. We always compare with the rest, and that gives us pain and pleasure. Or we all accumulate what is manifest in the world. That gives us pain and pleasure. So the pain and pleasure arises because of the forces of nature which are in manifestation, and other jeev, other living beings which are in existence. But the consciousness which is intertwined with our body has to live with that pain and pleasure. पांचवा सत्य, मन से चैतन्य एवं शरीर को अलग अलग देखकर इन दुखों और सुखों को कुछ सीमा तक कम किया जा सकता है. If we can segregate our consciousness and our body through our mind, using our discretion of mind, if we can segregate the two to some extent, our pain and pleasure will decline. It will not completely disappear, but it will decline. सुख, नेक्स्ट नंबर 6, सुख और दुख एवं परिवर्तन की पूर्ण विरक्ति के लिए शरीर से निवृत्ति जरूरी है. If we want to get out of pain and pleasure cycle completely, then we have to get rid of this body. We should not come back in body in this universe. Our consciousness should become part of the universal consciousness, and then we will experience no pain at all. So that is why we call the requirement of moksha or nirvana. That is what it is. क्योंकि शरीर लास्ट सेवेंथ क्योंकि शरीर प्रकृति जनित है अतः शरीर प्रकृति के तत्वों से सदैव प्रभावित होता रहता है यही शरीर के सुख दुख का कारण है So these are some of my thoughts which I have put together during the last few days of my meditation. And I thought I'll, mention these thoughts to all of us in this talk today. Thank you very much. If you have any query, I will try to answer as much as I can. Thank you.